Hello again. This is the second night running of doing one of these #Fertility Experts live. I am about to be joined by Pamela Hirsch, who is the founder of Baby Quest Grants or Foundation, and she is based in America, and she's going to be talking all about a grant that they have happening at the moment to help people with financing their fertility whilst we've been through this COVID era. For those of you who have been seeking treatment already, you'll know that it can be a very expensive process. So anything that can be done to help that is hugely useful. So I'm really excited to have her talking about how the grants have and are benefiting people. Obviously, to have some of that financial burden taken away is amazing. So she should be here in a second. Hopefully we won't have any technical issues. I'm just going to see whether she's there. Hi everyone who's joining, nice to see you. Just to repeat for those who have joined, we're talking about financing fertility tonight. It's actually, hi from Australia, hi Millie. It is late here in the UK, but it's early mid-afternoon there. So hopefully some people are on their lunch breaks in California. I'm just going to see if she's there. Okay. So when we do start talking about it, it'd be great to know kind of for you to ask Pamela what you want to find out about the grants, how they work, who they're for, how many people can benefit from them, what the kind of T's and C's are. I'm intrigued to know more. Anything that's going to be helpful from a financial point of view is so worth hearing about. And so let me just see if she's here now. I was a bit early, so she might not be. Okay, if you've got any questions in the meantime, fire them over to me or to her. I'm just going to give her a couple of minutes to join and then we can start talking. Last night I did a live with the wonderful Naomi Wolfson from Embrace Fertility, and she did the most epic mindfulness cognitive hypnotherapy session. Which we did live, and I nearly fell asleep afterwards. I felt so relaxed. So that is now live on our website. You can watch it back if you go to fertilityhelphub.com in our Fertility Experts live section. Definitely worth it. My personal story. You can read all about it on the website, but basically in 2015 my husband and I tried to have children, and we found out after 6 months of trying without success, which actually is not a long time, that he has no sperm. So definitely do watch the hypnosis video, and there are techniques that you can use in other areas of your life as well as just to keep you calm, and if you're having a bad day, they're amazing. Mind-body techniques. And so basically we found out he has no sperm, which is due to revealed a genetic condition called Klinefelter syndrome. So we saw many different urologists, and we decided to go to the States for treatment, and he had micro-TZ, which was sadly unsuccessful, but we had donor sperm ready to go if that was going to be unsuccessful, which it was. And IVF failed the first time. So let's just see if she's there. She's not here yet. So thanks for bearing with me. I will leave and come back if this carries on for too much longer. In the meantime, you can listen to me. Failed the first time, then came back to the UK, was very depressed, was not dealing with it well, found holistic ways of helping myself, and really worked on my nutrition, diet, mental well-being, and then we went back a couple of months. How did we pick a donor? It is such a minefield. I guess it depends how you're picking a donor. If you're trying to replace someone's genetics, it's probably a little bit different because it really narrowed down our search. Hi to Donor Concierge. It really narrowed down our search because we were looking for 6'3", blue eyes. He wanted to match everything the best he could to him. So the pool obviously became narrower. The first donor that we picked, we paid for the sperm. We had the sperm sent to our fertility clinic. And then when I got to New York, I got a call to say that the donor we'd picked had just had a child with someone else with genetic tumours on the body, the baby. So we had to pick again very quickly within 24 hours, with me in New York and my husband in London working. So that was really traumatic. And the donor that we picked is the one we have children with. So everything happens, I think, for a reason. Obviously really, really difficult when you're in that moment. Okay, Pamela's here, so I'm going to add her in now. Patience. And hello to those who are joining. Yeah, it was, Millie. It was so stressful. Good evening or good afternoon. Hi.
I'm not the most high-tech person in the world, so I was really...
Everyone's just been having to listen to me. Sorry about that. How are you
Thank
today?
you for having me do this. Now that I'm connected, I'm very calm.
Good. So I've just given I gave a brief introduction about who you are, but perhaps for those who are joining, you could talk a bit about what you founded, how you help people, and then we can talk about what you're offering at the moment, which sounds incredible.
Perfect. Well, I have a very varied background. I was first a teacher, and then I was owner of a very large national test prep company, one of the founders, called the Princeton Review. And I had sold my interest in that, and I was a compulsive exerciser and decided to be a Pilates instructor. And then suddenly, our 28-year-old daughter was starting to try to have a family, and she started with a miscarriage, which many people do, 1 in 4. And then it was IUI, and that wasn't successful. And then there were 4 IVFs, each successful and each ending in miscarriage at the 8th or 9th week. And it became a 3-year nightmare of, here's, I'm a mother, I'm a control freak person. What can I do to help my daughter? And the first, it was tears and questions. And eventually she found out through going to a second doctor that she could not carry her own child because her uterus was severely divided into 2 parts. So long story short, we were very, very financially blessed to be able to say, you start looking for a surrogate. She found through a surrogate, got a surrogate. Probably 10 months later, it worked very quickly.
Was this in California?
It really did. I mean, unusual, but it did. And she was blessed with a wonderful surrogate who delivered her first daughter, my daughter's first daughter, in the following January. Wow. And Zoe is now 10 years old. Gosh. And then my daughter, who actually then founded her own surrogacy agency with another woman who she had worked with, she had left the TV industry and decided surrogacy was her passion. She had a second daughter via surrogacy, who is now 7. Wow. And right after the first daughter was born, Zoe, I woke up one Saturday, and it's one of those moments you just don't forget. I sat up in bed and I said, I wonder what kind of agencies there are out there to help those who can't afford IVF or surrogacy, because the costs are astronomical. And I mentioned that to Nicole, my daughter, and she said, well, it's really a great idea, but it's such a good idea that there are probably a lot of other places out there that are doing the same thing. And then I started my research, and I found that there were a few, but they weren't doing things the way I wanted them done. For example, I didn't want anybody to have to fundraise for us first in order to qualify for a grant. I wanted to have grants available to same-sex couples and singles, as well as married couples, or whatever.
And is this just in America?
Yes. This was just in the United States, permanent residents of the United States. And there were several other reasons. I didn't want people to have to go to a certain network of doctors. That involves travel fees, and you just don't have your same comfort level as long as you're going to a reproductive specialist who is approved by the society, American Society of Reproductive Doctors. So there were a lot of things that I found that I wanted in a charity. So I got our 501c3 in 2011, and I sat paralyzed for about 3 months till I was having lunch with a friend, a very close friend, who said, why aren't you doing anything with that? And I said, well, let me call in a couple favors. And I wrote to some of my friends, and we got enough money to give out 2 grants in the following March of 2012. And since
Was that
March,
private equity then, with just people you knew?
just people I knew, my own money, just to see,
Wow.
just to see what would happen. And
Wow.
people were very responsive, I have to say, but on a very small level. And you never know whether it's a business or a nonprofit that's going to be sustainable, or it's going to fold in the first few years, whether it's a business or, or a charity.
Mm-hmm.
So we continued, and it grew and grew and grew. And since March of 2012, we have given out now 126 grants totaling over $2.1 million. And
Wow.
we are heading towards baby number 100 sometime this summer, late summer, early fall, I hope. And
Someone's just asked, where does the money come from now to fund these grants?
I've quit groveling quite as much to my friends, although they're very supportive. We get grants from individuals. We get $20, $10, grassroots or efforts, and people contribute via our website. We get other grants from different corporations, from one of the pharmaceutical companies especially, that helps us. We have other very generous people, other private foundations, people who maybe experienced infertility themselves, or they have a daughter or somebody in their family. And when you think about it, 1 in 8 women struggles with infertility.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody is touched in some way. Somebody knows somebody who, oh, that person had to go through in vitro to have a child, or
100%.
Somebody knows somebody. And people, I remember one of the first times that I received a donation from somebody I didn't know, a totally unfamiliar name. My husband says something like, oh, I guess you're a real charity now. So that's happened quite a lot now. But it's a struggle. A nonprofit is a struggle. And there are so many good causes, especially nowadays around the world with what's going on. But we try, and we have been very successful. And we just gave.
Amazing story. Millie's just asked, how can she donate?
Oh, easy. We try that. We try to make easy. First of all, you can go to our website, which is babyquestfoundation.org.
Mm-hmm.
On the very first page, we say donate. You just click the button. You can use a credit card. You can do PayPal, whatever, and you can donate in honor of somebody. If you say, I'm donating in honor of my friend so-and-so who just had a baby, we'll be happy to acknowledge the donation. If you give us the contact information of your friend, we'll send a card. You can donate for yourself. You can just donate because you have an interest, because you've gone through in vitro yourself or surrogacy. That's one way to donate. We also have our mailing address on the website.
Great.
And people can mail.
And what's the Instagram handle if people want to follow what you're doing?
I'm sorry, it's what?
What's the Instagram account? How do people find you on Instagram?
Definitely. We have Facebook, we're Baby Quest Foundation. We have Instagram, and our handle is at Baby Quest Grants.
Great. Okay. And if anyone can't find it for some reason, on the post that I did announcing our live TV, it's there. So click away. So tell us, so this is incredible that you have helped so many people and created made so many people so happy. What's happening at the moment in terms of the grants, especially with COVID-19, which is obviously such a huge financial issue on top of normal fertility finances for everyone around the world?
We have a couple different things. First of all, we had a decision to make. We had a grant deadline April 2nd. And leading up to that, everything happened. Many clinics closed, many postponed, delayed treatment. And so we had a decision to make. Do we just say no applications for April 2nd? We're just wait till fall, or do we continue? So we made a decision, and we said we had a lot of applications already. We knew some people were already planning on sending them in. So we thought to ourselves, what's better, to tell everybody we're just canceling the deadline on April 2nd? No, we figured let's give some people hope. So we were able to continue our grant program. We awarded 9 grants last week, totaling close to $90,000.
Last week?
Yes, last week.
Gosh.
It takes us a while to.
But 9 in 1 week, that sounds like loads. That's amazing.
We were very happy. And those were the people who were announced a few days ago on our website. And they will be receiving grants. Several of them have already started their procedure or had consultation. Okay. So that was the first thing. Second thing, we started a program that I thought would be a little bit more successful than it is. And it's called the Resumption Grant. Okay. And what that is that we knew that many people had started cycles the end of March, beginning of April, or around that time period. And then suddenly the virus hit. And we were looking for people who had started their medications, then were told to stop. And when their clinics resumed treatment, they would have to go out and purchase those medications again. Not all of their meds, but the meds that they had used. Let's say they had started on Ganal F for 2 weeks, and they had used that amount. And then all of a sudden their clinic said stop. And when they start again in June or July, they have to go buy those medications again.
And they're expensive. I mean, my medication was almost as much as my frozen transfer.
And right. So we combined with and spoke with EMD Serrano that makes Ganal F, and they said they would help. And we sent out a survey, and we got over 200 responses from people who said they had interrupted cycles. So we said, send us your information by August 1st, and we'll try to help you. Unfortunately, many people have misinterpreted the grant and are thinking of it as, I've been calling it like an inconvenience grant. In other words, you wanted to start March 15th. March 14th, your clinic called and said, you can't start March 15th. You have to wait till June. And you haven't paid anything yet, so we'll catch up with you in June. And people are thinking, well, I didn't get to start in March, so am I owed all that money, even though I've never paid it yet?
Right.
And will you pay for my cycle? And we've been trying to explain to so many people who've misunderstood. This is for people who started, got told by their clinic, and now have to pay a little bit extra, not a lot. So we've given out a few of those grants to people who had meds to replace. And the good thing about this though, and I'm really happy about this, is that we are seeing, because there are fewer applicants for this, we are very thankful that many, many clinics around the country got their patients to a place where they were comfortable continuing treatment until it just became where they couldn't, or they foresaw this even better, and they never started them on a site, which is even better. Yeah. So in that sense, it's really frustrating to be delayed. And when you're looking to do IVF and you're finally able to, you're thinking to yourself, every day counts.
Oh yeah.
And it's just disappointing to be delayed or postponed, but it's safer, and you have to go along with what the clinic says.
Yeah. I just want to just ask you a couple of things, because a couple of things come up. The first thing to say is that someone said what they would love to do is when they're pregnant, have a baby shower, and instead of people buy them gifts, donate to your foundation, which is such an amazing idea. The second question, which I wanted to ask you anyway, who is able to get these grants? Who are they for? Can anyone apply? What's the criteria? And how do you pick?
Okay. To answer your question, first of all, going back to that baby shower, we have a complete page or a thing on our website of how to donate and support. And I have a person who's in charge of social media, and she is a former grant recipient. Her name is Lindsay, and she lives in Cleveland. She has twin boys from
that round.
Oh, yes. And she will create a page for you. We will create your invitation. We will tell you who donates from your baby shower or your anniversary or your party. So we have that totally.
So people do that already.
We do it frequently.
Amazing.
And then to answer your next question about who gets a grant, on our first or second page on our website, we have a list of criteria. And I may forget something, which is why I think it's important to look at the page. Permanent resident of the United States. You can be single, you can be in a relationship, whatever. And again, I said permanent resident. That does not mean citizen. That does not mean you have to be a citizen, but a permanent resident.
Yes.
You have to be getting treatment in the United States. You have to have demonstrated the classic infertility definition. I believe it's over 35, have been trying for 6 months, under 35 for a year. You can have a genetic issue, such as you're a carrier for cystic fibrosis, and you don't want to pass that along. So you need IVF to go along with genetic testing to eliminate the passing along of something like cystic fibrosis, other genetic diseases.
And same-sex couples?
Same-sex couples, definitely. You can be a cancer survivor, and you had your eggs frozen before chemo, perhaps, and now you need IVF because of that. You can be a male who had testicular cancer at a younger age, perhaps, and have frozen sperm, and need IVF. You can be somebody who is young and female, young, and at 20 something, you find out that you have no egg reserve, diminished ovarian reserve, and you need an egg donor, which adds a tremendous expense.
Yeah.
Male sperm donor. If you're same-sex lesbian couple, you need a sperm donor. I know I'm forgetting things.
People can go have a look at the website to get full clarity, but you've covered a lot, so thank you. This is amazing. The next question was, how do you pick your the people who are going to win the grants?
It's difficult. It is probably the most difficult part of doing this, and I have some amazing people who help, and we had a very different and really amazing experience this past time, because everything had to be done with a committee on Zoom, and rather than people coming to the office, to my house, which is my office, or meeting somewhere. So we were able to use people from all over the country. We had some board members. We had some at-large people, women's health advocates. And the first step is usually from myself and helpers when they can come to be here in person, just to make sure that everybody has included everything that belongs in the application. That's the first step. Second step is the non-medical committee. They look at the applications. We review maybe we've gone from 300 down to 200, something like that. They review them. We come up with a diverse group of, first of all, people who fall within our range of what amount can we give. We give full grants or close to full grants. If somebody needs $10,000 to proceed, and if we give them $500 or $1,000, what are they going to do with it? They're going to have to save for another 10 years. So we look at what they can contribute, what the doctor will maybe contribute, which is hit and miss, and what is left. And that becomes their grant. So if they need $8,000, that plus meds, that's what we would give them. So we limit it down to the people who are in somewhat of a range, usually not more than needing $20,000 plus medications.
Okay.
And
someone's just asked about age. They were asking whether there's any age restriction, and asking about whether you're nearing 40, whether that's going to be detrimental.
We put on our website, we have no strict number. There's no chronological number that you become 40 and whatever. We go by the doctor recommendation. If a patient is 30, 35, and she has diminished ovarian reserve, she's going to need, and the doctor says she needs an egg donor because she has no eggs, they have to do that. If the patient is 42 and the doctor says her egg supply is like a 20-year-old, that's fine. So there's no way that you can put a definitive age on that. It has to be judged by the individual. On the other hand, if a person applies for a grant and she's, let's say, 42 or whatever, and her doctor says this person really should be using an egg donor because this is why her 3 IVFs have failed. We are not going to fund another IVF using her own eggs because there's just not a good possibility that she's going to become pregnant. Mm-hmm. So because of that, we follow the recommendation of the doctor.
Okay, great. That's clear. Thank you. And the application process, is it a lengthy process? What's required?
It is about 15 pages, but
okay.
Some of the pages are shorter than others. We ask personal questions, name, address, all the normal things. We do financial information. We do educational, professional. We ask for a 2-page story to be written. Not so much about your fertility history, but who are you? Mm-hmm. What are your hobbies? Mm-hmm. Why are you really worthy of getting a grant?
Characteristics and understanding what the person's about.
Yeah, and we say be humorous if you'd like to be different. I will give one hint. Please, next time, don't everybody start with "I met my soulmate in high school and we're married now." I think everybody just, be a little bit creative. But on the other hand, we don't judge by what a good writer the person is. There are some people who are non-English speakers. English is not their first language, and you can't penalize anybody with their writing skills. And that's not what it is. We look for applications that have heart and that really come across. And toward the end, we do some video interviews with finalists as well.
So are there quite a few rounds then to get through before the grants are offered?
I'm sorry.
Once you've sent in the application, first of all, how far in advance do you have to do it? And second of all, is there, like you mentioned, a video interview? So are there a couple of rounds to go through before you pick?
Definitely. Definitely. The first round, as I had mentioned before, was just general. Let's read out the applications, how much money people are asking for, different characteristics. The next round usually is the financial round. Looking at the applicant. Do they have so much debt it doesn't look like they can support a child? Are they a single person who is dependent upon an hourly salary? Do they have a support system that's going to help them if they're single and they have a child? Just different things. There was one time when the financial person was looking at the application and the comment was, this person has a $26,000 loan for a motorcycle. Perhaps there's a lack of priorities there.
Right.
Or we see that somebody has $50,000 of savings and they only want to contribute $5,000. Well,
you've got to weigh it out. Yeah.
Right. So that's the financial. And the last is the medical. We have 5 doctors on our board from all over the country, from New York, Dallas, Austin, here in Los Angeles, and Seattle. And they do an evaluation of probably the top 15 to 20 applicants. Then we do a finalist questionnaire of the top ones, and then we do a video. Then they submit a video. And by the time we're done, we hope that we have done a good job at selecting people. Mm-hmm. Have we chosen? There's no perfect whatsoever. I mean, for every one person that we choose, there are probably 10 others who are equally deserving, and they didn't get selected. And it's very subjective.
Can people reapply if they don't get through for one
grant? They can apply twice, and we changed that this time. We used to say 3 times, and the reason we changed it is that we very often pick somebody who's a second-time applicant. In fact, a second-time applicant, we look at those over and over and over and really try to see, is there anything, reason that we cannot pick this person? And we have found that we've very rarely selected applicants who apply a third time. And whether it's just something, they're asking for too much money each time, their physical condition is not right according to their doctors, something is not right. And we just don't want to ask somebody to pay $50, which is what the application fee is, a third time when it's not going to work. So we're trying to be as polite and respectful of them as we can.
And that makes total sense. And how do you, when you've selected the people who are going to be given the grants, how do you call them to tell them? It must be the most amazing phone call to do.
Yes, I call them. And I've offered the job to some of the other board members and everybody is, or the committee members, and they said, no, you do it. It's very nice. It really is. And I think that one of the nicest things is if you ever look at some of the comments on our Instagram or Facebook, some of the recipients who I've become friends with, especially, and really have a close relationship with, they'll say things like, it was March of whatever the date, and it's at 5 o'clock, and the phone rang, and they'll always remember that phone call.
Yeah.
And some cry, and sometimes I don't even know what to say. It's like I'm really happy for them. And
someone's just asked if an applicant isn't successful, do they get any sort of reasoning or follow up as to why they haven't been successful?
Right. We send out a letter to everybody. We cannot send an individual letter to hundreds of people and say, you weren't chosen because of this, you weren't chosen because of that. If somebody emails and says, would you help me with my application? Would you explain? I will try to. Right. There are times when it is very easy to say, you were asking for so much money, we just couldn't afford your ask, or it was like $60,000. We can't give that to one person, or your application was just not organized as well. You left out half of the things on the application, or quite honestly, your doctor didn't fill in half of the information, and it was so incomplete that our doctors just couldn't make a decision. So yes, we'll do that. And there are other times when all I can say is, your application was great. I can't give you a reason. And that's true. It's just, there's so many people who apply and only so much money.
And it must be obviously the most incredible thing when that person gets the grant and they have success. But do you hear from the people who have had a grant and they haven't been successful?
Yeah, definitely. The people who get grants join a closed private group called Team Baby Quest, which is on Facebook. Most join. Some are active on it. Some hate social media, and we totally understand. If somebody gets a grant, and we're not 100%, we can't guarantee a baby. All we can guarantee is the opportunity to pursue parenthood. And some of those who get grants have embryos that are frozen, because they had, through their first egg retrieval, they've come up with extra embryos. We will try the best we can to help them with medications for the second time. They don't have to apply or anything. They're part of our family. And we try as hard as we can to enable them to have second chances. Can we do that with everybody? No, but we try at least to help them with their medication.
Sorry, that's if they haven't had a successful first round rather than a sibling.
I'm sorry.
That's if they've got frozen embryos for a frozen embryo transfer without having had success. So it's not for a sibling.
And even if we've done even with the siblings, if we can round up some medications for them, we'll be happy to try.
Wow. Gosh, it's amazing.
And it's actually very interesting and amazing that, as I said, the people who receive grants, most of them become a family. And somebody is taking their meds and they're a little nauseous, and they post something on our closed group and they say, has anybody ever had nausea from such and such? And like 10 people will chime in and say, oh yes, do this, drink this, it won't make you as sick. So they're amazing. And we are trying, now that we're growing, we are trying to get little nucleus groups in some of the cities where we seem to have more recipients. Maybe they'll do something like organize a hike, have a panel with the doctor, little things like that, just to tell more people about the charity.
Do the recipients tend to be scattered over the states?
Yes, I don't even know. We have a map on our website showing pretty clearly where the recipients come from. Generally you get more applications from major cities. It seems as though for some reason, and I don't know why, we get more applications from California. I keep thinking maybe it's because there are more fertility doctors here. Maybe we're slightly more progressive in fertility treatment or information. I don't know why. It just seems like some areas have more applicants than others. Philadelphia have a lot of recipients. Texas, Dallas especially, we have a lot of recipients. As I said, here in Los Angeles, Ohio, I don't know why so much in Ohio, but I think there are at least 10 recipients just from Ohio alone. Indiana, we're starting to pick up a lot of people. So they're definitely in different little hubs.
Okay, great. I can see Baby Quest have started answering some of the questions about inclusion, so that's brilliant. So what's next? What's the upcoming grant, and what are the dates for applications?
Sure. The next major grant deadline will be September 9th.
Okay.
So September 9th. It is never too early to start. And we really encourage people. We have hints on our website, on YouTube, how to do a really good application. And I know that Lindsay, who does the social media, and I have spoken about sometime in July doing a Facebook Live or Zoom or something to try to, once again, spoon feed people and tell them this is how to fill out an application. And people just have to do their homework and really pay attention to some of the hints. And so that's one thing. Next thing is we are going to do something in honor of the 100th baby. And we're not quite sure what that is. It may be something like a giveaway, some medications to somebody. We're just not sure. So that should happen in end of July, August. And as I said, the application. And we were very fortunate within the past week to have received a very generous donation from one of our celebrity ambassadors, who's Kenya Moore from Real Housewives of Atlanta. And she has donated an amount of money that will go towards a grant in September. And we do not know the specifications of that as yet. We've talked about the fact of giving it to somebody from Atlanta or Detroit, because she's from Detroit and does her show in Atlanta. So that's kind of all up in the air, but that will be included in our September grant. We still continue to do what's called Operation Baby Quest, which is one military grant per cycle.
Amazing. Okay. And do you have a newsletter or something that people can subscribe to find out more?
We do have we send out a newsletter. We generally send it out through MailChimp. And if somebody goes on our website and gives us their contact information, we're happy to put your name on that and include you in that. We think we do it 4 times a year.
Amazing. Okay. And I will keep people updated through Fertility Help Hub through our newsletter as well. So make sure you sign up to that for more information. And also I will post this on the website so people can watch back our chat for more information. I don't know whether there are any more questions, but thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Today.
Thank you. And I totally appreciate being here today. And we do, if people have other questions, you can contact us on the website. I'm pretty obsessive and you'll get the answer faster than what you think, but
I'm sure it seems like it. Amazingly quick. Thank you everyone for joining today.
Thank you.
Lovely to speak to you, Pamela. It's absolutely fantastic and we're looking forward to hearing more.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.